When I was working in Cleveland, I was working with an educational urban agriculture organization, and I had a lot of questions about if the food was going to the communities that I was working in. I was working in a lot of very poor communities in the inner city of Cleveland, so I was wondering if they were going there. I was wondering if it was appropriate for me as an outsider to be working in those communities on farms. Did the people in those communities want those farms there? Some people don't. And so it was kind of like all of these people who didn't really live there kind of working, and I felt that there was something kind of odd about that. And I think that really relates to social justice.
Yeah.
I would kind of feel weird if some outsiders started coming into my community and just doing something, in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of what I was thinking about when I wanted to return to the topic. And I think that's kind of a big part of if these will function for a long time, is if the community thinks that they're important. I also was really interested in this aspect of food access, which is also a really big component of social justice. You might have heard about this idea of like food deserts and how certain communities don't have good access to fresh foods that are healthy, unprocessed, that kind of thing. And part of what is a lot of people say is really great about the urban agriculture movement is that it's trying to increase the availability of nutritional produce. But I don't know whether that's actually the case. It's being grown there, but whether or not it's actually making it more accessible in terms of the people actually wanting to eat that produce, is it culturally appropriate, that kind of thing is also a really big social justice topic that I was interested in going to that. First of all, I really think urban agriculture is really interesting. I don't think it's perfect right now. And I think alone, of course, it's not going to be able to answer this question of urban sustainability. I don't think that you can necessarily feed a city based upon urban agriculture alone, and a number of scholars have said the same thing. But I do think it's really important in connecting people to growing food and kind of serving as this educational component, and also sparking this local economy, which is also really important in sustainability. If you keep your dollars in your economy, I think that can be really, really important. But I think that any city could really benefit from, of course, using more renewable energy sources, trying to limit their consumption, having good waste management practices, including, really good citywide composting and recycling programs. And I also think that another one I'm interested in is public transportation.
Oh, cool.
I think that public transportation also plays into the social justice aspect because it provides a means of transport for people who may not necessarily have a car. Energy use is a really big one. So how we use our energy, making sure that things are efficient, and also limiting our consumption of energy. That kind of takes us, I guess, more out of just the urban context, because a lot of our energy sources, of course, don't come from urban areas. I've become really interested in this idea of making sustainable practices a social norm.
Oh, okay.
And when things kind of become this, or at least if they're not the social norm, if they're perceived to be the social norm, then people will kind of start adopting those practices. Some people use the example of Oberlin as this really great environmentally sustainable college. And I think one of the reasons they are like that is because people go there thinking that they're already like really environmentally sustainable, and they're like, oh, when I go there, that's how things are, and so I should also act that way. Whereas the College of Worcester is not necessarily known as this environmentally sustainable place, so it's a lot. You don't come in here thinking that's already the norm. I think ways to make people think that this is the norm is one of the biggest ways that you can get people to change their behavior.